Hello, and welcome to episode 12 of the BigSlice Gamescast. I am your host, Corey Stroby, and with me I have Jessica.
Hello.
So breaking news from actually yesterday while I was at work. I'd actually already sent the podcast topics, and this broke out. I don't even remember. It was like yesterday I think I was at work. But I looked at my phone and this headline popped up, so we'll just go right into this. It's Sony Worldwide Studios head Shawn Layden departs PlayStation. This is from Matt Kim over at IGN from yesterday, September 30th. It says, the official PlayStation Twitter account has just announced that Worldwide Studios chairman Shawn Layden will be leaving Sony Interactive Entertainment. Layden has been with Sony since 1987. PlayStation announced Layden's departure via a tweet, saying, quote, "It is with great emotion that we announce that Worldwide Studios chairman Shawn Layden will be departing Sony Interactive Entertainment. His visionary leadership will be greatly missed," unquote. The Twitter account writes. It continues to say, quote, "We wish him success in future endeavors and are deeply grateful for his years of service. Thanks for everything, Shawn." Layden joined Sony as part of its corporate communications department in 1987. Layden later became president of Sony Computer Entertainment Japan in October 2007, before becoming a founding member and vice president of Sony Network Entertainment International in 2010. In 2014, Layden succeeded Jack Tretton as president and CEO of Sony Computer Entertainment America. In 2018, Layden was made the chairman of Sony Interactive Entertainment Worldwide Studios. Under Layden's tenure as chairman, PlayStation released several critically acclaimed games from its first-party worldwide studios, including God of War, Spider-Man, and Horizon Zero Dawn. Sony Worldwide Studios comprises Sony's first-party PlayStation developers. This includes studios like Guerrilla Games, Naughty Dog, Santa Monica Studio, Sucker Punch, and most recently, Insomniac Games. There are currently 14 Worldwide Studios developers, but Sony CEO Jim Ryan suggested that the company is considering more studio acquisitions ahead of the PlayStation 5. That last bit's less to do with Shawn leaving, but either way, I saw this news yesterday, and it kind of took me by surprise because I thought, I don't know, I guess I wasn't expecting him to leave.
No, I mean, not after being there for like 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it's kind of similar to Reggie leaving Nintendo back in April, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was around April. It was before E3 because Doug Bowser took over and did the Nintendo Direct for the
April of last year? It wasn't this year.
Yeah, it was this year.
I feel like Bowser's been here for a while.
Nah, because this year was his well, he's been around for a while, but he took over as president this year because this E3's Nintendo Direct was when he sort of kind of officially introduced himself as the president. Because they did a really goofy bit where they actually animated Bowser from Mario in a tie showing up.
Yeah, I remember that.
Very Nintendo. But yeah, Reggie left sometime in I want to say it was April. He put his goodbye message in. He put that up February 21st of this year. And then I think he officially departed sometime in April. He left the company on April 15th. Officially. It feels like it was a lot longer ago, though.
Yeah, it does.
This year's flown by. Or this year's kind of, I don't know, the games industry always feels like makes the year feel a lot longer. Like Kingdom Hearts 3 was just this year, but it feels like a lifetime ago. But either way.
Yeah, it usually feels like that around this time of year.
Yeah, and it's but Shawn leaving kind of caught me off guard because Reggie left earlier this year. It doesn't say when he actually leaves. It doesn't say why. I'm guessing it's probably around the same. It's the same sort of reason that Reggie left, where it was just he's just kind of ready to leave. He's ready to do something new.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, 30 years, that's a long time.
Yeah. Plus, when you're pretty much at the top, there's not really anywhere else for you. There's no more room for you to really grow. Like once you've reached the top of the company, it's like you miss climbing a ladder.
You're looking for more challenges, and it's like, well,
yeah. It's like, well, I've done everything that I can do here. I mean, yeah, there's going to be new projects every year, but as far as my career goes, there's not really any more climbing to do.
Right.
And I feel like anyone who hits, a president or a CEO level of sort of job placement, it's after you've done it for a few years, it's like you're kind of ready to move on. And I feel like that's probably going to be the reason that Shawn left, or is leaving rather. So this article was from Matt Kim over at IGN. It ends with it saying IGN has reached out to Sony for more information about Layden's departure. So I'm sure there's going to be more news about that. It'll probably go out after we're done recording.
Yeah.
I'll keep my eye open for any updates on this, but
yeah, we'll watch. We'll see what happens.
But that's really all we have on that. It's sad to see him go, but I'm sure they'll pick someone just as fitting to take his place once he leaves.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, you've got a lot of people who were there and up and coming millennials, I'm sure, that would love to climb the ladder. So I'm sure good things will come.
I'm sure it's a little while before a millennial gets to that. Well,
not necessarily. Not if they're already high up the ladder.
Yeah, if they're already.
The oldest millennials right now are. Well, yeah. I mean, the oldest millennial right now is almost 40, I think. So.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah, you never know. I'm sure they're gonna pick someone that's just as worthy as Shawn Layden is. But yeah, sad to see him go. We're excited to see what he does next. I'm sure we'll hear something later on down the road about what he's doing, who's taking over, all that good stuff in the near future. This is Strong Museum awarded $700,000 for exhibit on gaming's cultural impact. This is Rebecca Valentine over at gamesindustry.biz. It says the Strong National Museum of Play has announced it has received a $700,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities toward a new exhibit that will explore gaming's influence on cultural history. The grant is through the Chairman's Special Award, which the endowment's guidelines state is awarded usually only once per year to a project that, quote, examines important humanities ideas in new ways and demonstrates the potential to reach especially large audiences. The exhibit, entitled Digital Worlds, will be split into two parts. The first part, entitled Level Up, will put museum goers into the role of a character on a quest and offer opportunities to solve puzzles and overcome other obstacles as they learn about video games in general. The second half, High Score, focuses on the industry's evolution and the process of development. Digital Worlds is scheduled to be opened in 2022. The Strong Museum, yeah, it's not that far away. I was hoping it would be a little bit earlier, but 2022 is still, depending on how big this exhibit is going to be, 2022 is still pretty reasonable. But continuing, the Strong Museum president and CEO Steve Dubnyk said, quote, "With the help of this grant, the Strong will be able to build a truly one-of-a-kind experience that will make the museum even more of a national destination. Support from the National Endowment for the Humanities and other organizations is vital in helping transformative projects like ours to be successful so that we can share the cultural impact of play in electronic games with the world. We're honored to be selected for the Chairman's Special Award and appreciate NEH's recognition of the importance of video games to our ever-changing social history and cultural fabric." So the Strong Museum is, if I remember correctly, is out in New York.
Yep, Rochester, New York.
Okay. Yeah. Whoops. And I wanted to bring this up because I remember reading a couple things about the Strong Museum. It's more than a museum about video games and video game history. It's about sort of,
from what it looks like,
it's a giant museum of play.
Everything off. Yeah, they base everything off of just every element that goes into playing, whether it's a video game or like a carnival or stuff like that, or dolls, stuff like that.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, my internet's being super weird, so I keep cutting. I don't know. I keep disconnecting, I guess. But yeah, I didn't quite hear that last thing that you said.
Oh, I said that from the looks of it, the Strong is the museum on play, and like they base everything off of like the elements of playing.
Okay.
And so that comes goes with everything, with video games to dolls to carnivals to dancing, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I've read a couple pieces on them. They had I don't know if the exhibit's still there or not, but they had a pretty big exhibit on the women in games. Yeah, it's still there. Okay.
Looks like it's still
where
there.
It focuses on sort of, if I remember correctly, Ben Reeves over at Game Informer did a whole piece on it. I'll link that article in, or I'll link that feature in the show notes. But he did a piece on, I don't remember if he did the Women in Games one or if he did the showcase. But basically, actually, let me look up the article just to make sure that I get it right. Ben Reeves, Strong Museum of Play. Yeah, so he did the piece on. Actually, he did them both. He did Into Digital Dust, which is about the Strong Museum in general, talking mostly about the video game collection that they have, sort of to preserve the history of games, I guess. They have a few artifacts there, like some old pinball prototype or arcade prototypes. They have Will Wright's journal, who's the designer of Sims, SimCity, Spore, games like that. And then he also did the piece called "Inspiring Women in the Game Industry," and that's a piece that's actually about the
Oh, hold on 1 second. Someone just knocked at my door, so I don't know what that's about.
okay.
Sorry about that. I thought maybe I was about to die, but I'm good.
Was someone actually at your door, or?
No, it was somebody dropping off a package.
Oh.
That I didn't think was coming till tomorrow.
Oh, gotcha. So, the Strong Museum is basically just a giant museum of play, and I think before that interruption, I think I was going into how Ben Reeves has done a couple pieces on the museum. So he did the museum he did a piece on the museum in general, talking more about like the video game exhibit that they had, like kind of the history of games. They've got some sort of historical artifacts of the industry. And then he did a piece back in March. It looks like March 2019 on the women in the games industry, kind of more or less highlighting women who otherwise kind of went unnoticed from their work back in like the 80s, with it being a really male-dominated kind of a male-dominated industry. Their work didn't really get recognized.
Right.
And so this the women in the games industry, or women in games, yeah, that's the exhibit. It shows a little bit more. It kind of highlights the women that went unnoticed, as well as highlighting women who have sort of made a huge impact on the industry. Amy Hennig being one of the more recognizable ones. Her and Bonnie Ross, actually. Bonnie Ross is the shoot, what is she?
I don't know.
She is the I forgot what her position was. She had something to do with
Vice President
Halo.
at Xbox Game Studios.
Yes. But yeah, so this new exhibit that they're talking about here, I think is going to be the biggest one yet as far as video games go. You know, a $700,000 grant to focus on the cultural impact that video games have, I think is going to be a nice addition to what they already have as far as exhibits about the games industry goes. But yeah. I'll link the two articles from Ben Reeves about the museum, as well as the museum's website and whatnot. By the sound of it, it sounds like they're gonna have something that's more interactive too.
Yeah, I'm curious to know how they're gonna do it. Like if it's like gonna be VR or anything fun like that.
They could easily do that. Where did it go? Yeah, so it said the first part, entitled Level Up, will put museum goers into the role of a character on a quest and offer opportunities to solve puzzles and overcome other obstacles as they learn about video games in general. So it's essentially going to be an interactive exhibit where you learn about video games and the industry while interacting with whatever it is this exhibit is, which sounds really, really interesting.
I'd go if it wasn't in New York, but maybe someday.
Yeah, I might make a trip out there at some point. Because that is something the Strong Museum is kind of on my bucket list. So that's a place that I really want to check out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll probably have more to say on that as that story kind of gets a little bit more detail. Right now, this is pretty much all they have as far as what this is going to be.
Just
It sounds like
announcement-wise.
it's more just an announcement, kind of a concept. But
It'll be cool though, that's for sure.
yeah. So yeah, we'll keep an eye out for any more news on that.
Yes.
Okay, moving on. This is PlayStation starts selling console hardware direct to customers. This is by Matthew Handrahan over at gamesindustry.biz. It says Sony Interactive Entertainment has started selling its console hardware and first-party games directly to customers, or directly to consumers. The new online store is only available to PlayStation's US customers at present, but it allows PS4 consoles, accessories, and games to be purchased directly from the PlayStation.com website. It is also possible to buy PlayStation VR headsets, accessories, and games, and voucher codes for PlayStation Plus subscriptions. Sony Interactive Entertainment's Stephen Turvey said in a statement, quote, "This site not only provides our fans in the US with the option to purchase these items directly from PlayStation, but is also intended to help gift givers easily find the right product for their friends or family. Friends will find that prices on the new store align with those found at other retailers." Sony did not mention any plans to expand this new retail strategy beyond the US, but it is a noticeable challenge to the importance of third-party retailers in selling hardware. Specialist retailers like Game and GameStop in particular have endured years of turmoil due to the rise of digital distribution and huge online stores like Amazon. Even amid the uncertainty, hardware launches have remained periods of stability and strength for traditional games retail, with Sony now selling its own hardware direct. However, consumers have one more reliable way to buy consoles without visiting a store. So that's kind of rough news for.
So is it like a PlayStation like when you go to Microsoft.com or whatever for Xbox? Is it something like that?
I think so. It's basically just PlayStation's website now sells PlayStations directly to you. So like instead of going through a third party, like ordering it off Amazon or going into GameStop to buy it there, you can order it from PlayStation directly.
Oh yeah, look at that! You can. Look at that. Buy now.
What? Wait, are you on PlayStation's website right now?
Uh-huh.
It's already there.
Yeah, what's that?
Like you can already buy stuff there.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking at View All Hardware, and they have the PlayStation, the PS4, or the PS4 the PS4 Pro, the VR, and I thought I saw something else. And like bundles and stuff.
Yeah, so what this could possibly mean for games retail is this is going to be another blow to GameStop.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it might make a huge difference, but I mean that's just one more nail in GameStop's coffin, pretty much.
Right.
Which is there's nothing recent coming out as far as GameStop goes, but I mean, I'm sure this is going to have another impact on GameStop's business. It's good for consumers because it makes it a lot easier for them to get this.
Mm-hmm.
Or to
get I could buy one right now while talking to you.
Yeah, so you can already do that.
A store. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can do that with Amazon and stuff too, but buying it directly from PlayStation, that's more money in Sony's pocket.
Right. Plus, for something as big as that, I would, me personally, I trust going to that specific site instead of going to Amazon, because Amazon, well, usually it will tell you who the seller is. Sometimes it's hard to trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would prefer to go to the actual site.
Yeah, I mean, I rarely buy big stuff from Amazon. It's usually like books or something.
Yeah, we just get little things and our robots, but that's it.
But yeah, like I said, this is really good for consumers because they'll be able to buy stuff directly from PlayStation. Anyone who isn't like huge gamers who is just trying to get a present for their niece or nephew or their kid or whoever that aren't really gamers, but the person that they're buying the gift for is, I feel like they're going to appeal to this a lot, or this is going to appeal to them a lot more, because if their friend or family member decides, hey, I want a PlayStation for Christmas, they can just go to the PlayStation website and buy it straight from there. That's going to be a lot easier for someone who's not really a gamer to figure out. Not that that's really hard, but if they really are that far outside the whole video game community, that is going to be a lot easier for them to buy. But
yeah, but I mean, like most things right now, it's great for the consumer, but sucks for brick and mortars.
Yeah, just another thing to hurt them. I'm a little worried what this will end up doing for GameStop, because they're kind of relying on, I mean, they're planning on just kind of trying to stay afloat through to next holiday, when the new consoles start to roll out. But this is going to cut into that.
Well, I think with holiday wise, I think they can look forward to possibly like people who shop last minute, and people who shop last minute have to do it in person and need to get that material object in person.
Yeah.
And instead of having to worry about delivery times.
Right.
So hopefully people who wait last minute will, and they're getting, like, if they're going to buy a console, maybe they'll get more sales from that.
Yeah, maybe. That's all. I mean, that's always a factor.
Yeah.
Last minute shoppers have to go into the store to actually get stuff. That would probably be me. Either way, with new consoles rolling out sometime late next year, not a lot of people are going to be getting consoles now, just because it's like, okay, well, you're going to have this console for a year, but then what? The new one's coming out. You're not going to spend another $500 to $600 on the new one next year, are you?
I mean, they might. Same people do the kind of thing with phones, so you never know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, with consoles, you're spending... Well, actually, with consoles, you're spending less money than phones nowadays. But
yeah.
But either way, consoles are meant to last, like... they're supposed to sort of last you through, like, an entire generation. Not a whole lot of people buy a console... not a lot of people buy current gen consoles when the next gen console is, right around the corner. It's better to save that money for that new console. Plus now, even more so, because both PlayStation and Xbox are going to have backwards compatibility. So even if they waited, they'd still be able to get their hands on games that are coming out today. Today or tomorrow or whenever, for the current generation consoles.
Right.
I don't know. As far as this goes, I think it's really good for consumers. I'm worried about what it'll do for GameStop, because I still do like GameStop in spite of, all the crap that they get from they end up with a lot of hate that they don't necessarily deserve.
Well, I mean, and they are also trying to do the whole revamp too. So
yeah, well, they're trying to stay afloat
right.
while doing all of that, which is I would hate to be in the shoes of the people running that whole project. But I mean, we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what will happen, but we'll see what happens. How this will affect GameStop's business. And yeah, I don't really have anything else to say on that, I guess.
No. Like most news articles, we'll see.
Yeah. Moving on. Okay, so this one is another one from gamesindustry.biz. This is Brendan Sinclair over at gamesindustry.biz. It is Oculus adding hand tracking to Quest. It says Oculus Connect 6 kicked off today today meaning the 25th. This would have been...
So not today.
Right. This would have been last Wednesday as of this recording.
Yes.
So Oculus Connect 6 kicked off today, meaning the 25th, with an assortment of announcements from the virtual reality firm, with some of the biggest news revolving around its wireless portable headset, the Oculus Quest. While the Quest was only released in May, it has already had a disproportionately large impact on Oculus's revenues. Oculus said that users have spent more than $100 million on software at the Oculus store to date, with the Quest accounting for 20% of it.
Wow.
That's a pretty big chunk. As for its future plans regarding the Quest, the company confirmed it is working on, quote, the next Oculus Quest, but pledged to make everything made for the current headset forward compatible with that next hardware revision. Oculus announced that it is bringing hand tracking to the Oculus Quest early next year with no need for external sensors, depth sensing cameras, or other hardware beyond what's already in the headset. The functionality will launch as, quote, an experimental feature for consumers with its own SDK for developers. That's software development kit, for those that don't know. Another new feature coming for the Quest is Oculus Link, which will allow Quest users to hook the headset up to a PC with a USB 3 cable to play Rift software in a nearly wireless fashion. Right now, that's slated for November. Beyond the Quest, Oculus also announced Facebook Horizon, a social VR space for the Quest and Rift set to go live next year that will replace Facebook Spaces and Oculus Rooms, both of which go dark October 25th. In Horizon, users will design personal avatars and visit a variety of separate worlds. Oculus expects the initial use cases to be games created by Facebook, like an aerial dogfighting game called Wing Strikers. However, the company is also incorporating user creation tools so players can make their own activities and invite others to try them. The event also went some way to answering a continuing criticism of the VR space, a lack of original AAA-style game experiences. Electronic Arts Studio Respawn Entertainment used Oculus Connect 6 to unveil Medal of Honor Above and Beyond, a new VR exclusive entry in the military shooter series with, quote, a full narrative campaign, as well as multiplayer modes. EA said in a press release after the Oculus Connect reveal, quote, the game will lean into the franchise's history of education through entertainment, bringing the stories of World War II veterans to life for players in emotionally powerful ways. Medal of Honor Above and Beyond will launch on the Rift next summer. That was a bit of a mouthful, but the thing that kind of caught my attention was the hand tracking coming to the Oculus Quest and being put in people's living rooms. Basically, in the article they have, I'm pretty sure they had it in this article, a video kind of showcasing what it would look like, just kind of a little bit of a trailer.
Oh yeah.
But in the trailer, and again, the trailer will be in the show notes, and
I'm also watching it right now.
and in the YouTube description. But there's a part in there that you'll see where they're actually showing their hands, and their hands are being rendered in real time in the Oculus sort of display.
Yeah, like so it's got the sensors on the eyepiece that like basically captures 3D images of what your hands are doing.
Yeah. It kind of works in a similar way that our eyes do, where both of our eyes kind of come together to show depth perception. So it kind of works, and that's how VR in general works. That's how you get the sort of realistic 3-dimensional space, is the two sensors sort of kind of what's the word? Sort of I guess mimicking what our eyes do. You know, if we have one eye, we can see, but we have no depth perception. Whereas when we have both of our eyes, we can see more depth because we're seeing from two different perspectives.
Right.
And that's sort of what the cameras on the VR headsets do. Whoops, I bumped the mic. So this hand tracking thing, I've actually got to experience back when I went to E3. We went to Santa Monica one of the days, and we checked out the Void. I'm pretty sure I talked about this on the podcast before. But the hand tracking that they have in the Void, we did this. So when we went to the Void, it's this VR. I guess you could call it an amusement park, but it's not that big. You basically go into this maze area with the headset on, and it puts you in this Star Wars world. In the Star Wars experience, you're on Mustafar and you're shooting at stuff as a stormtrooper. But when you first get in there and you put your hands out, you see stormtrooper hands doing whatever your hands are doing. So it's like you're watching your hands show up in real time and render in real time as stormtrooper hands. So that's in like a big, sort of commercial VR experience place, where they have like huge, headset rigs and whatnot.
Yeah.
The fact that they're going to be able to do that with a headset that can be in your living room without being hooked up to crazy amounts of like cords and stuff. The fact that that's coming as soon as it is pretty insane.
Yeah, before Christmas, right? You said November?
I don't think the hand tracking is coming in November, is it? I lost the spot now.
All I remember is November.
Oculus announced that it is bringing hand tracking to the Oculus Quest early next year.
Oh, okay.
Another new feature coming for the Quest is Oculus Link, which will allow Quest users to hook the headset up to a PC with a USB cable to play Rift software in a nearly wireless fashion. That's what's slated for November.
Oh, okay.
So the Oculus Quest is sort of the mobile one where it's not hooked up to a bunch of cords and stuff. The Rift is connected through a bunch of cords. So what should be coming in November is you'll be able to play Rift games with the Quest so that you're not hooked up to a bunch of cables and stuff.
So I have a question because I've never done VR. So in the games, like obviously the hand tracking, that makes sense. But when it comes to movement, like how does that work? Like if you have to walk from A to B?
So it's still,
I'm sure it depends on game, but
it depends on the game and it depends on what headset you have. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's the HTC Vive and one other one where you actually define like a walking space dimensions. So like you go from one side of the room to the other and then define the floor by setting the hand controllers down on the floor so that it gets a reading of where the floor is. And so it sets up a room like a small sort of box dimension where you can actually move around in.
Okay.
But as far as moving in the game world, there's a few different things that developers have been doing. With this being like a new thing, they've had to kind of get creative with movement. But there's a point and click one where you point over to a specific spot in the game world and you click and it sends you to that spot.
Makes sense.
There were some cases where they would have the player like actually zoom over there, but that made people sick. There's other ones where it's the same thing where you point and click and then the screen fades out and then fades back in with you in that spot.
Okay.
And then there's other games that will still allow you to move normally. It would just feel like you're on rails, even though you're controlling your movement, but in the real world, you're sitting still while the game character is moving. So you know how like regular twin stick movement, you use the left analog stick to move around, and then the right analog stick to move the camera around.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the right analog stick to move the camera around, you'd be using your head. So that's another way that they've done movement, so that you can move around like you normally can, but instead of using the analog stick to move the camera, you're moving the camera with your head. But there's a few different ways. But yeah, those are a couple different ways that they've handled movement. No Man's Sky Beyond actually does both of those, where you can choose to point and click or move around regularly with a controller.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sort of point and click one was sort of the way that a lot of earlier Rift games would do, just because that's the best thing that they could think of right on the spot, as far as how do we move when the player can't actually move in real life. They just kind of do point and click stuff, or they make a game that you can play while standing in one spot. And that's where those little prototypes came, like Job Simulator, Vacation Simulator, Cooking Simulator, whatever it was, where you're actually just standing in one specific area. You're not moving a whole lot.
I need to do VR at some point.
It's really crazy. I want a headset. Like, I want PSVR so I can play No Man's Sky Beyond in it. But it's super expensive. I'll probably end up saving for it in the long run. But yeah, so with EA making a game for, having Respawn working on another game working on a game for the Oculus, and hand tracking coming sometime next year, I think we're hitting the next, I guess, sort of the next evolutionary point in sort of virtual reality development.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's moving as quickly as it has been, I think, when did Oculus come out? So Oculus Rift original launch, that was only 3 years ago.
Oh wow!
Well, almost 4 years ago, rather. March 28th, 2016, was when the original Rift was launched. I want to say that was one of the first. But the fact that VR is developing as quickly as it is, I think it's pretty amazing to see what's next. I'm very interested to see I'm very interested to see in where hand tracking goes as far as games coming out, because with software development kits coming out pretty soon for that, it's going to be interesting to see what a lot of designers and developers come up with that new element in mind. because before, as far as moving around goes, they could only do point and click. Like that's the best thing that they could come up with at the time.
Right.
To eliminating simulation sickness, to really crazy, interesting, like on rail shooters that work really well, or even just, I think you can play the entirety of Skyrim in VR now. It's not like Skyrim. It's still Skyrim, but you're pointing and clicking, and it's not the actual game. I don't think it's sort of a little bit of a different version. Fallout 4 can be played in VR, and this has all just happened within a few years of it being out on the market. How rapidly it's growing, to now rendering your hands in real time is going to be a thing in just a few months. Is insane.
Dang.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to see where this goes. But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say on that. I don't know if you have anything to add.
No, I mean, like I said, I probably should go try it. I know we have a VR place in Oxford, so I should probably go there to try it. But the hand tracking thing is super cool. So it'll be, I mean, if we can knock hands down, the next thing to do is feet, right? So
yeah.
So it'll be cool to see where technology takes us.
It's funny that you mentioned feet, because there's I don't remember what it's called. Let me look it up really quick. There's like a full body thing for, it's like a track belt or something where you're actually on it and running around.
Oh, like the treadmill kind of thingy?
Yeah. I don't think it's at all
a
commercial thing. I think it's still just kind of like, hey, we're prototyping this thing, but it's still really big and expensive.
Right. I think I've seen one of those, but I couldn't remember if it was like in a TV show or if I was like making it up, so I didn't want to say anything.
Yeah. I don't remember where it is or what it's called. I'm sure I'll find it while editing this.
Yeah.
And I'll put it in the corrections and a link to it, or a video showing it off. But I have a feeling that it will come eventually. But the price
you just get
range,
it like how Nintendo Wii Fit came with a board. You just get like a transportable treadmill.
Yeah. I'm not sure how they'll do it. Because you still have to account for players walking in all directions. And you have to account for how into it some people are going to be. So it's got to be able to withstand a lot of movement. But I'll find that prototype thing, and see if I can, I'll link it in the show notes in the description, and you guys can go.
Do you have a freaking cricket in your room?
Can you actually hear that?
Yeah.
That's the cricket that kept me up all night. Oh. I could not kill it.
I thought you said bird earlier, but cricket makes more sense. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to try and turn the mic a certain way and see if that works. Can you still hear it? I just
started hearing it.
Oh, okay. It's like right next to my window, and I tried killing it like multiple times.
I hear it a little bit, but it's not like a big deal. Just listeners, beware of the evil cricket.
Yeah. And if you're listening and you have any ideas on how to get rid of crickets, please let me know, because
I know spiders don't like peppermint. Maybe crickets don't like peppermint.
Maybe. I wonder if there's an oil or something that I can get and just pour all out next to my window, and hopefully that'll keep them away.
Or worst case scenario, head over to your local Petco or PetSmart and buy a bearded dragon. Done. That sucker will be gone in a second.
Just let the bearded dragon loose in that little. It's just like a. Yeah, like I'm in a basement, so it's like that little pocket next to the window.
Yeah.
Where a bunch of leaves end up in. There's a little bit of gravel in there, but like last night I went and like stepped in it and like was stepping all over that area, came back downstairs, and somehow the cricket was still alive. So, anyway.
Cricket.
So the cricket may or may not be joining us on the podcast. I can't really do anything about it. It's very annoying. But yeah, any listeners, if you're listening to this and you have any ideas on how to get rid of the frickin' cricket, please let me know, because I swear I'm gonna go insane with that thing there. Anyway. So yeah, that's the Oculus hand tracking thing.
Yes.
So here's a story that went quiet for a little while, but it's no surprise that it's developed a little further. Switch Lite added to the Joy-Con drift class action lawsuit. This is by Hayden Taylor over at gamesindustry.biz. This actually came out yesterday, as of this recording. But it says, barely a week since launch, and the Nintendo Switch Lite has already been added to the class action lawsuit against Nintendo over drifting Joy-Con controllers. The lawsuit was brought against Nintendo back in July after consumers reported the Joy-Con analog sticks were registering input commands that hadn't been issued. Since the problem was first highlighted, Nintendo announced it was offering free repairs with no proof of purchase or warranty required. However, the problem appears to be accentuated on the Lite, with consumers reporting drift after a matter of days as opposed to months with the original Switch. Law firm, I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher this name again. Law firm Schmickels, Schwartz, Kreiner, and Donaldson Smith has brought the lawsuit forward, which lists 18 plaintiffs and includes testimony regarding the Switch, Switch Lite, and Switch V2. The filing reads, quote, despite knowing about the Joy-Con defect, Nintendo continues to market and sell the Switch and Joy-Con controllers without disclosing the defect. Or without disclosing the defect, excuse me. So I don't even know what to say to this. Like, the fact that it's happening the fact that it happened even faster on the Switch Lite than it did on the original Switch, I think is kind of ridiculous. It could be the fact that with this being highlighted before the Switch Lite was even announced, people reported it because they recognized it right away.
Possibly.
Because, I mean, the Joy-Con drift started... the lawsuit was filed sometime sometime back in like 2015.
Right, yeah, when it first started.
But then wasn't actually didn't go public until, earlier this year. But back in July. But the fact that it's being reported much sooner on the Switch Lite, I think is kind of alarming. Because that is, it's even more alarming on the Switch Lite, because you want to remember that the Switch Lite doesn't have detachable Joy-Cons. So it's not as simple as sending the Joy-Cons into Nintendo and getting a new set back. You'd have to send the entire Switch in.
Right.
Which is even more frustrating. And if you end up having to get a new Switch Lite, that's all of your saves being gone. Because cloud saves are still not... You don't have a lot of space for cloud saves, as far as I know. I don't think. Do you?
I don't know.
I
don't know.
Storage. It doesn't actually say how much. I don't know if there's an actual limit to how much you can back up, but I imagine there probably is.
I'm sure. I mean, there's got to be a limit, because most cloud saves, you have, say, 50 gigabytes, and then they want you to buy more space.
Well, if you're just backing up the save, and rather than the game, then it might not be. Because if you're only backing up the save data, that's not nearly as much as backing up the actual game. Because you won't need to back up the game. You just have to back up the save file, which is significantly smaller than the game itself. I'm not sure how big the actual saves are. I can't seem to find a limitation of cloud save limits, but yeah, I don't really see anything that details cloud save limits. Anyway, either way, I mean, what happens if you end up, if you don't have the Switch Online service and you can't get the cloud saves? Because I think you need to have the subscription in order to have cloud saves, right?
I think so, yeah.
I don't actually remember.
Wait, let's rewind for a second. Where did the cloud save come from when talking about Joy-Con drifts?
That's a good question.
I'm just sitting here looking at the article going like, wait a second.
How did we get here? Okay, so with the Switch Lite, you can't send... If you end up with Joy-Con drift on the Switch Lite, it's not as simple as sending in the pair of Joy-Cons out to Nintendo.
Oh, you'd have to send in the whole
You'd have to send in the entire console.
Right. So then that goes to your games and saving.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, you could just put all your save data onto a micro SD card before sending it in. And then once you get it back, put the micro SD card right back in.
Right.
That's what I would do.
Yeah, maybe it's not as complicated as I was thinking. The only thing is,
I'm just glad we rewound for a second because I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, because if you don't back up your cloud saves, there's a good chance that you're not getting the same Switch back.
Right.
It might end up just being a recall and being like, all right, well, we're just going to replace it for you.
Right.
Okay, well, what about all my saves? Well, did you back it up? No. Well, not our fault.
Well, womp womp. Yeah.
But yeah, back up your saves before doing that. But I just think that the Switch Lite having Joy-Con drift is such a more complicated thing because of that reason. It's not as simple as sending the Joy-Cons in. So it's like this adds a whole other thing. Like this is more than an accessory default. This is a default with the entire console now.
Right.
At least in the case of the Switch Lite, which is an even bigger issue.
Right. I would just assume that if you were to make the complaint and once customer service reached out to you, they would give you detailed directions on how to save all your stuff before you were to send it back.
Yeah.
I would hope that they would do that just to cover their own butt and also to help you.
Yeah. Or even if you just ask how to do that, I'm sure they'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah, because I would just, if it was me, if I had to send in something, I would just assume I was getting a new one back, just to make sure, whether I do or not, just to make sure that like I'll be okay game wise when I get my Nintendo back.
Right. So yeah, that was when I saw that I couldn't help but not feel surprised.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad to see. It means that they're pushing out products and doing, quantity over quality, which is sad. I don't want Nintendo to be that kind of company.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll get it all under control sooner rather than later.
Or it might even just be the situation that, oh crap, this is a big problem, but we can't just stop selling the console. I don't know. They really do need to do something, because otherwise this is going to turn into a much bigger problem.
Right.
You know,
especially with holiday season coming up. They need to figure it out.
Because they're gonna make a bunch of sales on Switch consoles, Switch Lite consoles, especially in the coming holiday season. If they start playing the game, if whoever got it for a gift during Christmas starts playing it, and by New Year's they have Joy-Con drift, that's not going to be good. That's within just a week or two, where the Switch goes from brand new to unusable, or close to unusable. Plus with it being the Switch Lite, like I said, it becomes a much bigger issue, because now it's the console that's at fault, or that it's a defect with the console itself now, rather than just an accessory of it. So I imagine this is going to get a little messy in the coming months.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah. And speaking of getting messy, this next one's fun. This is an article by Alyssa McCallum over at Gamasutra from yesterday, as of this recording, September 30th. Duke Nukem 3D's composer is suing Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford. What? CEO Randy Pitchford and Valve. It says, Bobby Prince, the composer behind the soundtracks of Doom, Wolfenstein 3D, Duke Nukem 3D, and more, has filed a lawsuit against Gearbox, both software and publishing. Its CEO, Randy Pitchford, and Valve, alleging that Gearbox used Prince's compositions in a recent Duke Nukem 3D release without following the proper channels or compensating him for his work. Yeah. Prince's lawsuit alleges that Gearbox, and specifically Pitchford, admitted that the studio lacked the license for the music, used it in Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour despite that, and later allegedly refused to remove the music from the game. On Valve's part, the lawsuit alleges that Valve ignored a takedown notice and continued to distribute the game on Steam after being made aware that the music used in the game wasn't properly used or licensed. Prince created music and sound effects for the original Duke Nukem 3D, developed by Apogee. Developed by Apogee back in the mid-90s. Work done under the then agreement that the ownership of the music would remain with its composer, and that Prince would receive a royalty for its use in the original game. Gearbox later acquired the rights to the Duke Nukem series, and years later laid plans to re-release Duke Nukem 3D for the 20th anniversary of the game's 1996 release. The lawsuit alleges that from the get-go, Gearbox would have been aware that the music for Duke Nukem 3D was still owned by Prince and would have required permission for its use. According to the document, digital files containing the music specifically note that Prince retains the copyright. Beyond that, the lawsuit states that Prince reached out to Gearbox about music ownership, later shared a copy of the 1996 agreement between Prince and Apogee, but despite assurances from Pitchford that he'd be, quote, taken care of, Prince was allegedly never compensated, and the music was never properly licensed for its use in Duke Nukem 3D 20th Anniversary World Tour. Wow.
Well, I can tell you who's going to win this case.
Yeah.
Definitely Prince.
It should be Prince.
It should be.
Absolutely be
I mean,
Prince.
the fact that Gearbox and Valve admitted that they, made a boo-boo.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a good chance that right there that's going to push the case to, to Prince for win.
Yeah, because basically right there you have more or less a confession to it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they have as long as they have proof of them actually saying it rather than just
saying instead of just like
rather than just a
allegedly
claim.
saying
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Allegedly. Which either way, if there's tons and tons of documents already to prove that Prince still has still owns the copyright for all of that music, he's gonna win the lawsuit. And this could have easily been avoided just by this could have easily been avoided by Valve and Gearbox just paying him compensation. Be like, hey, sorry we didn't ask you to use it, but here's your compensation for it. I'm sure it would be a lot messier than straight up refusing to compensate him for it.
Right. Like, yeah, as long as there's nothing in the because the contract is 23 years old. So as long as the contract doesn't say anything about, after a certain amount of time they own something.
Yeah.
Then they'll lose. But if there's anything like in small text or anything about, or an addendum or anything that says that, after maybe a 10 or 20 year period that they would own all the music.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
like I said, it's a 23-year-old contract, so.
Right. Well, the quote said, according to the document, digital files containing the music specifically note that Prince retains the copyright. So my guess is based on that, he still retains the copyright. I mean, I don't actually have a copy of obviously I don't have a copy of the contract.
Right, yeah.
I can't
I mean,
see
it could just be him saying that that's what the document says.
Yeah. I'm trying to look at the actual lawsuit or whatever. Prince versus Gearbox Softworks or software.
Gearbox.
ATL docket number 319. Wow, this is long. Oh, wait.
Yeah. I assumed it would be.
Never mind. I don't think I can actually see it. Oh, yeah, I can. Yeah, so I'm looking at the lawsuit itself now. I'm trying to see I was gonna say if there was like a rundown or something. I can't seem to find it. It just goes right into the details of it. I'm not gonna go through and read this entire thing. But if anyone listening opens the Gamasutra article in the show notes, the Duke Nukem 3D's composer is suing Gearbox CEO. There's a link in there to the actual lawsuit. Well, actually, I'll just put the link to the actual lawsuit in the show notes, and you can look it up and see it. But yeah, by the sounds of it, Prince pretty much has this case.
Oh, you can see. Okay, so it on part 7 of the lawsuit, it shows what income amount he's expecting to receive. So he's supposed to receive $140 for his monthly VA disability. I think I'm reading this correctly. $936 for monthly Social Security. It just says variable for quarterly broadcast music. Variable for GoFundMe.com account set up by my brother in 2017 to collect donations to help with my medical payments. Now averages around $10 a month for the last 12 months. What? That's crazy. It's got $450 for housing, $150 for credit card. They've got a lot of stuff in here. What does this have to do with your music? But okay.
Wait, where are you reading that?
Part 7 on the court docket sheets.
I don't see that. Part 7.
Did you click the lawsuit link?
Yeah.
In the Gamasutra article? It says Prince's lawsuit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
Okay, so if you go all the way on the right side, it's got like the Table of Contents,
Oh,
Part 7.
my bad. Yeah, okay.
If you scroll down to the bottom, it's got all those prices on it.
I think that's just more or less like this is what that money is going toward.
Yeah.
Or what?
He wants 11,000 of it to go toward his bank credit card to pay medical bills. Wow, he's got a lot of medical amounts. That sucks. He must have gotten sick.
Okay, so
cardiovascular surgery. Ooh.
Yikes. Okay, so it looks like looking at this, it sounds like there's a lot more here than just it's not really all about the compensation for the music, but like he's got bills and stuff to pay for, like medical bills and stuff, and it's like them not I'm not going to go into all of that, but
no, I mean, this could have been something that his lawyer told him he's able to do. Like, there's a lot of stuff that goes with law and court stuff that I don't understand.
Yeah, I mean, I have a cousin who's a lawyer, but I'm not gonna bug him with something like this. But at the very root of this, they're stealing music they don't have the rights to. In this sense, even though it's still in like the game that it was originally in, the fact that they're making money off of a re-release without compensating Prince for his music still being used in the game is totally and utterly illegal.
Right.
And they absolutely should pay for that compensation. But yeah, at this point, the fact that they keep dodging it, I think Prince absolutely should, or Bobby Prince, excuse me, should absolutely sue for a little bit extra for obviously for having to take this to court, because that's got to be expensive, and whatnot. But at the root of this, it's just plain wrong to steal music that they don't have the rights to.
Right.
This kind of goes into I guess this isn't the same thing as the whole Nintendo thing, but at the end of the day, it's the copyright owner of the music deserves the compensation for it. And the illegal distribution of it needs to be stopped. Especially for, a single person, Bobby Prince, versus, a big corporation. But Gearbox and Valve can easily, they could pay off all of his bills and still barely make a dent in how much they have. Because remember, Valve owns Steam,
right,
and Gearbox is a pretty big company too. But anyway, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how this, because this came up just yesterday, so I'm sure this is going to unfold a little bit as we go. I don't even know if it's unfolded more yet today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, I'm sure he'll win if they did mess up like they apparently admitted to.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing any updates on this as of right now, so I'm sure we'll see something later on. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add to that.
Nope.
Again, I'll have the actual lawsuit details like in the description in the show notes, so that anyone interested can go look at that and read through it, as well as the article itself. No, doesn't look like there's really anything crazy breaking. Nah. All right, I guess we can go ahead and go into games that are coming out this week.
Yep. Where are we?
So out this
up to
week.
The 6th.
Is it up to the 6th? Oh yeah, I guess it would be. I was just gonna go into up to next Tuesday, but
that works too.
I'll just go ahead and do that. So out today, well, it's gonna already be out because this episode will be already out by then. But so today, October 1st, you have Call of Duty Mobile on Android on Android and iPhone. You have you have I lost it. Oh, you have A Girl Who Chants Love at
the World.
At the World. On PC, PS4, and Switch. What's that? I can't see like the full title. A Girl Who Chants at the... Is it At the World?
A Girl Who Chants Love at the Bound of This World. It's a long title.
That's a long title. And then Destiny 2 Shadowkeep comes out today on Xbox One, PC, and PS4.
Whoop.
Ready Set Heroes on PC and PS4. And then tomorrow, the 2nd, that's Wednesday, We Were Here Too. This is on Xbox One. You have In Between on PS4. You have Visage on PC. And then on the 3rd, that's Thursday, you have Neocab on PC and Switch. The Eyes of Ara on Switch. Northgard on PS4. Then on the 4th, on October 4th, you have Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Ghostbusters, the video game remastered on Switch, PC, PS4, and Xbox One. You have Beep Beep Deliveries on PS4. Northgard on Xbox One. Trine 4, The Nightmare Prince on PC, Xbox One, Switch, and PS4 on the 8th. Oh, my bad. Yeah, okay, so on the 8th, you have Trine 4, The Nightmare Prince. You have Indivisible on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Shikara, Action Arcade Wrestling on PC. Dragon Star Varner on PC. Atlas on Xbox One. John Wick Hex on PC. Burger Time Party on Switch. Call of Cthulhu on Switch. Concrete Genie on PS4. And that's it. So a very, very big week. A lot of stuff coming out this week. And it doesn't slow down anytime soon. October is jam-packed.
Oh yeah, we are in the bulk of it now.
Yeah, we are in the holiday season release. So expect a lot of releases. Nothing really on my list here that I want to play. Ghost Recon Breakpoint I might get into, but there's nothing this week that I'm really looking forward to specifically.
We have Destiny 2, which my husband is very, very excited for. He already has it preloaded and everything, so he'll be hitting that. Not today, because tomorrow we have our friend Clock Tower coming for the week, so they'll hit that starting tomorrow night. But that's it for this week. But I know there's some other stuff in October I'm looking forward to. So
yeah, I think as far as this week goes, I'm mostly going to focus more on what I'm currently playing rather than jumping into anything new. Actually, this weekend I knocked out an entire chapter of the Assassin's Creed DLC. I have one more chapter and then I'm done.
What?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just saw October 29th. Super Monkey Ball's back?
What?
Super
I
Monkey
didn't-
Ball.
I didn't know that.
What?
Wait, on
How did I
what?
not know this? On
What
Switch,
was the date?
PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC.
Oh, I wouldn't get too excited about that, to be honest.
You did hear about it?
I think that might be the mobile game thrown into. I don't know.
It looks cute.
Maybe it is. It's not a new one. I know that it's.
Well, it says Banana Blitz
I wish
HD.
they'd make a new one.
So, was there a Banana Blitz before?
I want to say Banana Blitz was the mobile one, which wasn't great. I don't know. Maybe that is something to look forward to.
Oh, it was on the Wii. So it's the remaster of the Wii.
Can you hear me okay?
In 2006. I can hear you now. Oh, maybe not.
Sorry, you cut out at that.
I said that it was on the Wii in 2006, so it's got to be the remastered of the 2006 Nintendo Wii game.
Of that.
Yeah.
Maybe it is.
Either way, I love Monkey Ball.
It's got to be.
Yeah.
Huh.
I might
have to check
get
that
it.
out
like
depending on
Monkey
how
Ball.
much it costs.
Yeah, true. Yeah, because just a few days later is a game that I've been looking forward to for a while.
All the time. Yeah. Yeah, so this week there's not a whole lot I'm looking forward to. I like I was saying, I guess going into what we're playing, I spent most of the weekend playing Assassin's Creed, the Fate of Atlantis DLC, and finished Chapter 2. And then I have Chapter 3 to finish, and then I'm done with that. That's all I played this weekend. I did do a couple side quests in Control, but since I've shelved that, so I'm done with that for the time being, at least until the DLC starts to roll out.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I was playing. That's all I played this weekend was Assassin's Creed.
I played a little bit of Borderlands 3 again, which at this point I'm getting a little burnt out of, which I usually do with these kind of games, just because, like, unless I'm following the story, which is hard to do when you're playing with 3 other people, it just kind of starts to feel like the same thing over and over and over again. So I've been focusing mostly on Link's Awakening, and I think I'm almost done with the game. So I'll probably finish that this weekend.
Crap,
honestly.
That's right. I forgot about Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
I got to get that.
It's good, man. It's really cute. The music is good. I forgot a lot about the music, but the music is good. It's cute.
Yeah, the music, or Link's Awakening is one that I want to get into. I'm already forgetting the games that I wanted to play. I'm trying to remember. There was one that's coming out this week, I think, that I wanted to get into or to check out. Oh, maybe not. There was one that had something to do with Cthulhu or Lovecraftian style.
The Cthulhu one you said was on the 8th, wasn't it?
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu. I don't think that's actually the thing that I was thinking of. It was like, I think it's called The Sunken City. That came out recently. But it's like based on Lovecraftian location.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, and I forgot. I don't
remember if it actually came out yet
Son
or not.
Nutcracker. Dang it, Corey! Type video game. The Sinking City?
Yes. No.
Was it that one?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The Sinking City.
Okay.
Because that came out. Oh no! It came out recently on Switch, I think. Maybe. I swear there was a release for it recently. Switch release.
It looks like it was released in June.
Huh.
So it's been out for a couple months.
That and a Plague Tale: Innocence. That's another one that I want to check out. Either way, I've got way too many games on my list. I need to finish Assassin's Creed so that I can dive into a different one. But yeah. So Borderlands 3 and Link's Awakening were kind of the bulk of what you played.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Link's Awakening.
I think that pretty much wraps up what we're playing then.
Yeah, I mean, I'll hit Borderlands, Destiny 2 with Clock and Z. I'll probably do the story with them and then hop off to do Link's Awakening.
Yeah.
Because, let's be real, the story's going to be blown through in a day, if that.
That's usually how it goes. Yeah, I'm going to finish Assassin's Creed this weekend, hopefully, and then maybe get Link's Awakening, or play through something smaller really quick, just to check something else off my backlog before we start getting bombarded with holiday releases.
Mm-hmm. Or Luigi's 3 on October 31st.
Oh crap, I keep forgetting about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I'm a mess when it comes to keeping up with the games coming out.
You just need like a giant like real estate agents will have like a giant dry erase board, and they'll write down all the listings they have and then what's pending and what's like completed. I feel like you need to do the same thing for video games. So you'll have like what's coming, what you're working on, what's completed.
Yeah, I need to have that. The thing is there's a website that I have that I'm on that does that, called Groovy or something. But it doesn't
the website you have to like actually go to get like a giant dry erase board and hang it up. Then you'll actually physically see it every time you walk in that room. Yeah.
Plus, I'll be able to write down like, here are the games coming out that I want to play. Here are the ones that I'm going to prioritize over others. Excuse me. Here's the ones I'm playing right now.
Right.
Blah blah blah. All right. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up everything we have for this week.
Yep.
Like I said, it doesn't look like there's anything breaking right now. Ouch.
Not yet. Give it a few hours.
Yeah. Or give it until as soon as we're done recording.
Basically.
Anyway. So yeah, thanks so much for listening. You can find the podcast at BigSlice Games, both on Facebook and on Twitter. You can find me at Stroby Official. Excuse me. You can follow me on Twitter at Stroby Official. That's STROBBE Official, all one word. You can find the podcast on SoundCloud, YouTube. Excuse me. You can find the audio of the podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify, and then on YouTube at a later date. Yeah, Jessica, where can they find you?
They can find me at Twitter at PhoenixLeeJS, or if you're curious to want to see my photography, if you're into that kind of thing, you can find me on all handles at JLBoone, BOONE photography. And you can also email the podcast any feedback or suggestions at BigSliceGames.com. Excuse me. You can email BigSliceGames@gmail.com. So thanks you guys so much for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye.